Ladies and gentlemen, we are approaching the last two sessions of today's agenda of the first ABSL Bosnia and Herzegovina annual conference. The next session is entitled Business Opportunities and Challenges in Bosnia and Herzegovina and will be moderated by newly appointed ABSL Managing Director, Ms. Nadina Gradaščević. Our guests and speakers today are, and the online community reacted very well, which is expected, Mr. Faris, Začina, co-founder and co-CEO of Ministry of Programming, Mr. Zihnija Hasović, coming from the European Bank of Reconstruction and Development, and joining us will be ABSL President, Mr. Adnan Behmen. So the floor is yours. Have a nice conversation.
Thank you, Adi. Dear participants, dear guests, and dear friends, welcome to our Leaders Talk about business opportunities and challenges in Bosnia and Herzegovina. The business services sector in Bosnia proved to be competitive, and it recorded a significant growth in last years. We believe that Bosnia is a promising destination for international businesses in this industry, but we also believe that economic transformation, growth, and development is every stakeholder's responsibility. This is why we have invited three inspiring leaders from local government. Our mayor of the municipality, Novo Sarajevo, unfortunately was not able to join us, but our president of the ABSL Bosnia and Herzegovina will take another role today, and he will be on this panel present as a member of the ABSL Poland and as a manager and leader from the PNG. And he will talk about how is local government supporting our industry in Poland. We have invited representative from a business community, Mr. Začina, Faris, and a representative from international institutions, Mr. Hasović. And we will discuss business opportunities and challenges in our country and talk about how can we create the framework for continuous development and improvement of the business services sector in Bosnia and Herzegovina. It's my pleasure to introduce our first guest, Mr. Zihnija Hasović, a principal manager at the EBRD ASB program, which facilitates know-how and support to small and medium-sized enterprises. Mr. Hasović is managing its operations and activities, focusing on job creation, turnover, export increase, and operations improvement. He worked with more than 100 Bosnian companies in different industries and of different size. Welcome, Mr. Hasović.
Thank you. You said it. I wouldn't be able to say it like that.
I have a pleasure to welcome Mr. Faris Začina, a founder and co-CEO of Ministry of Programming, the company built 6 years ago, which became one of the top 1,000 fastest growing companies in Europe in 2020, a multi-million-dollar revenue business with 100+ employees focused on building global technology startups. Welcome to our Leaders Talk.
Thank you very much for having me.
And Adnan Behmen, our leader from the PNG, representing today and telling us stories about how local government is supporting business services sector. So, Faris or Mr. Začina, your company achieved more than 800% growth in revenues in less than 4 years. And in 2017, you received the award for the most innovative company in Bosnia by Foreign Investors Council. When you contact international prospects or when you work with international companies, what is their first reaction when you say that your company is based in Bosnia?
Yeah, I think it's pretty challenging because I think when we reach out to potential clients or partners in Europe or the US, I mean, most of them don't even know where Bosnia is. They don't know anything about Bosnia. And our country brand is not well defined in their minds. So they find it very difficult to understand, I mean, where are we from? very often they think we are from Boston, US, you know. They think it's a region, or it's I mean, probably they think it's Belgium or Boston, or, you know, whatever. Anyway, when we come in contact with those people, I think we need to be much better than the competition, because they don't have this perception of excellence. And in the world, I mean, everybody knows where the best IT companies are. It's in the UK, it's in the US, in Sweden. So we need to be very kind of, you know, very like top 1% in every interaction, to make sure that they will understand what we do, that they will take us seriously. And one of the things that helps is obviously like great communication and presentation skills, which I think is something that we managed to do pretty well. Because I mean, if you, for example, if you in these interactions, if they don't know about your country, they don't know about your company and who you are, then you need to be able to persuade them through like really good communication, through great English language and presentation skills, and you know, your pitch needs to be amazing, and that was what we did. But in essence, it's challenging, because I mean, they don't see Bosnia as a place to find great IT talent.
What challenges do you face from the first contact until you close the deal? What are the biggest challenges there?
I think it's I mean, obviously Bosnia is perceived as a place of you know, it's, I mean, when they understand, okay, it's Eastern Europe, when they figure where it is, usually it's a problem of, you know, they think it's some sort of cheap place, you know. I think that's a big problem. But the thing is, as I said, I think it's all about how the company presents itself. How do you sell? How do you market? And we are far from cheap. So when they hear our prices, they figure, oh, like this is like Sweden, you know, prices. What is going on? So it's not. I mean, the thing is, we are not selling ourselves cheap in terms of our services, or, you know, even our investments. So they get surprised, but I think it's a matter of sales and marketing, and it's a process. You know, you need to invest continuously in that process of selling and improving your sales materials, your presentation skills. Like, you need to be credible. You need to build a portfolio, a track record, a story, a brand. So we invested a lot in that over the years. And I mean, today we don't have any problem like closing deals or doing any business. I think the pandemic helped a lot, because the world is more and more remote and distributed. So today, less and less people require you to be on site, local, to come to a country. I didn't travel anywhere in the last 2 years. We closed dozens of deals. We hired 100 employees in the last 2 years. So, I mean, I don't need to travel at all. I mean, I'm just questioning, should I travel at all, honestly? So today it's much easier. So we don't have any problem closing deals. But still, I think the hardest thing is that initial perception. When they come in contact with a company from Bosnia, they think, yeah, it's like some sort of cheap Eastern European, you know, company, whatever. But I think we prove them wrong very quickly by showing them how we work, what we do, our track record, how we communicate with them, how do we look, you know, everything. So in a way, I mean, they just figure, okay, so this is like a, you know, globalized company from Europe, so we don't care, you know. So
high quality, good pricing strategy, good communication, great promotion, but still 800% growth in revenues. How do you achieve that?
Yeah, it's it's a secret. No, it's I think our secret was that we made big bets. So if you want to grow super fast, you should not be doing what others are doing. So in essence, you need to do something contrarian, something different. So what we did differently was that we did not start a business around something safe. So startups are very explosive, very dangerous. So I mean, one possible scenario could have been that today, maybe I wouldn't be here, because I mean, the thing is, 2015, 16, 17 was super risky. When you work on startups, you can fail quickly. But if you succeed, it's like 100x, 1000x, you know. So the essence is, working on startups is a rocket ship. it can explode very quickly, but it can also go to the moon. So in our case, it went to the moon, but we were lucky to some degree, but also we worked with the right people, we built the right products, we learned, we iterated, we changed our business model as we went forward. And I think it's a combination of skill, of luck, and our business model, which is very explosive. So, I mean, even from now, we can grow 1,000x or 10,000x easily because we work with startups. So that's the short answer.
I have to ask one more question. This is very inspiring now. How do you cope with such growth? I mean, inside of the company.
Super hard because I think everybody's talking about high growth as something positive. So when you grow at this pace, so literally you are, so we had, in most of the years, we had triple digit growth. So like, it's not 10% per year, it's like 120% per year. So you are doubling every year, or you are like growing by 50, 60, 70%, 80% per year. So when you have that kind of growth, I mean, the first thing that happens is, I mean, of course, you get the attention of people inside the company, outside the company. It's great. You get popular to some degree in terms of recruitment, and also on the sales side, you build a much better pitch. It's much easier to sell. You can prove that crazy traction that you have. You can show some numbers that are amazing. But also internally, what happens is that the company breaks down. So every time you double, the company breaks down, you need to reorganize. So like when we were like 20 people, it was much easier to hang out with people, to have coffees and lunches, to spend time with everybody. It felt like a mini family. But then when you grow to 40, it doesn't work like that anymore. Then when you grow to 80, it doesn't work anymore. So you need to change management, introduce new procedures, restructure all the time. So it feels like survival every year. So it's crazy, because from the outside, it looks perfect, like you are making money, you are growing. But from the inside, it feels like, I mean, literally, it's like a rocket ship, because as it flies up, it breaks down a little bit. It's like it's on fire all the time. So then you are repairing stuff as you're flying. And then there are always like some parts of the rocket ship that are falling apart. And there is an engine that maybe like a secondary engine gets on fire. And then people are jumping off that rocket ship. They are escaping, So there's a lot of crazy stuff that happens in that path. And but I think it's a learning process. We learned a lot how to organize a company from 0 to 200 employees. You said 100, now we have close to 200 employees. So when you have that kind of growth, you need to always change. And it's not easy, it's not pleasant. It's super hard for us, for me as well, because the company is growing faster than your knowledge. So I think that's, because, for example, I didn't finish any MBA studies. I didn't have any education in economics. I don't know how to organize a company. I still don't know. We're learning as we go about operations, marketing, sales, legal stuff, and then it always feels like you are lagging behind a little bit as a manager. You're always slower than your company grows. And maybe sometimes you feel even like, okay, maybe I should replace myself, But I think this is like just an honest comment. And I think, but we managed to stay afloat and to always learn and to learn and to learn. And then you work 24/7. So that's, as a founder, you need to do that if you want to be successful.
Did your leadership style change?
Yeah, it did, because initially when the company is smaller, you cannot delegate too much because you don't have anybody to delegate to. And then initially our leadership style was doing stuff with the team, very concrete stuff like programming and design and product management, etc. But then as the company grows, you should not do that, because it's just something that needs to be delegated, because otherwise who's going to do strategy, risk management, finance, all of that. And then you need to change yourself, and it's very uncomfortable, because for me, for example, I was a programmer for 10 years. So for me, it was very natural to code with the team. But today I cannot do that, because somebody needs to do also, partnerships, sales, organize the company, hire executives, hire middle management. So all of that. So it's super hard, because you need to always you have a feeling like, okay, so now I know what I'm doing, it's year number 4, I feel comfortable. And then the year after that, you need to stop doing what you're doing. You need to delegate that, and you need to start doing something else, which is very uncomfortable. So it's always like that, it's always like in cycles. And so next year, maybe, or the year after that, I'm going to do something completely different, something completely uncomfortable. and I'm going to learn new things, hopefully. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Our representative from international institution, the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development strives to develop a healthy investment climate and promote sustainable development. Mr. Hasović, is the EBRD willing to invest in business services sector? And how can you support the development of this industry in Bosnia?
Thank you, Nadina. I would say first answer to Faris, we will help him in all of these issues. EBRD is international organization and name says development organization. So we have strategic objectives. We are actually working on new strategy as we speak. We have met a lot of internal and external stakeholders, and it will be set soon. And it will not be much different than previous one. You can say yes or no, but there is one strategic objective that we will focus or continue to work on improving competitiveness of local SMEs or local private sectors, among them primarily SMEs. We will also work intensively on digitalization of the SME sector. We think that is a key component of their development, decreasing low productivity of that sector and lack of knowledge. We will also try to integrate some SMEs to supply chains with international companies. And of course, bringing new products, increasing sophistication of local businesses. That's on pretty low level, you know. We are working with some ICT companies and we see huge difference between the markets they are in and other SME companies present in Bosnia and Herzegovina. So companies like Ministry of Programming is or some other ICT companies in Bosnia and Herzegovina dealing with the top world companies. On the other side, you have a wood manufacturer who is dealing with a similar partner in Germany or Austria. So it's completely different market, different mindset, different issues, different knowledge present.
So can our members from business services sector apply for your programs?
Yeah, when we talk about EBRD, we need to make a difference between financing and providing services or support in improving performance of enterprises. EBRD has several tools how to work with the private sector. With large companies and selected limited number of mature or ambitious SMEs, EBRD can work directly. You know. Our capacities are limited for sure. You know. And we have even with partners established enterprise growth fund where we can provide financing from 3 to 8 million euros on 6 to 7 years. So these are relatively small number of deals where we can each year engage with couple companies. Then we are working directly with partner institutions, local commercial banks, where we provide specialized, dedicated credit lines where much more SMEs can apply, including members of your association, where we can provide loans up to 1 million euros. Often these loans come with incentives. For example, at this moment, we have active competitiveness credit line facility, which enables companies to get 15% of incentive on top of the loan, or if they have a project which brings them to standards of European Union, improve conditions, working conditions for employees or environment protection. We have even technical assistance enabled. We have consultants engaged who can help them design these projects. So it's quite, it's one of the best financing instruments now present in the country, at least to my opinion. We're also working on similar credit line For next period, it will be focused on digitalization and automatization with similar design, thanks to our donors, of course, the European Union, Sweden, and others. And the third instrument which we have is business advice, which I'm running here in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and it's much more broader in scope. We actually try to provide grants or subsidies for SMEs for engaging local or international consultants to remove obstacles to their growth, and it's quite successful.
So if some of our members decides to apply for your programs, are there any challenges they might face?
Well, if we look at client from banking perspective, although I'm not banker, I can see and I hear my colleagues talking lack of financial information, adequate reporting, very slow in response, management structure shaky or non-existent, just relying on a couple, either founders or people who are close to managers. So all of these are issues which we have to deal with. It doesn't give us enough comfort that what we get from companies accurate or that we can rely on those information. If you look from business advisory perspective, that's not an issue. We are here to help them to overcome those issues. And of course, every company can apply. As I said, we will focus especially on digitalization. So it means that we will also work with business providers of these services. And I'm sure by helping SMEs understanding what digitalization means, it will also help this sector. But we are focusing on SMEs and mostly local companies in private owned. So this is a limitation for some of your members.
Maybe I can say something because we work with EBRD, and I can give an advice to people that want to reach out, because I think the team, Zihnija and the team, are amazing. But I mean, my experience working, because we are also an investor, and I know from experience that, like, also when you deal with investors, it's about building the relationship, and that's something that Zihnija is always saying. I think people should reach out and build the relationship, and then over time, there are going to be opportunities to leverage financing and all of these services that EBRD is building. So I think nobody should be shy to take a meeting with these guys. And then over time, I think, year 1, 2, 3, 4, as you said many times, things are going to open up. Maybe not this year, but next year. So it's a relationship.
We have even a specially designed program, which we call Blue Ribbon program, for those type of companies which we think are interesting for future investments, where we can have over the course of 5 years, up to 150,000 euros of funds for technical assistance for these pre-investment, post-investment. It's continuous advisory support. So it's not something small. With the 150,000 euros, you can do a lot.
Thank you very much. And thank you for sharing this successful cooperation story with EBRD. Thank you. So, as we mentioned before, the ABSL vision is that business services become one of the leading employment growth sector in Bosnia by 2025. I believe that people are the most important business resource, and they contribute to country's competitiveness. Our complex history and distinctive social, political, and economic system shaped us and helped us develop valuable skills. Also, the ability to understand, respect, and connect both Western and Eastern cultures and business perspectives makes Bosnia an interesting business environment, and certain cultural traits make the Bosnian talents especially appealing. Faris, what are the strengths of Bosnian employees, especially Generation Y and Z, and what makes them a source of sustainable competitive advantage?
Yeah, it's a good question. So what makes Bosnians stand out in the world? I don't think there is an objective scientific way to measure this, but I can tell from my experience, I think that I think that what is really interesting about Bosnia is that historically we were ruled by so many different empires, the Ottoman Empire, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, and I think we are extremely open to foreign cultures. This is also why we have such a big diaspora, because we are so open to leave the country, not only because it's so bad here, I mean, which I don't agree completely with, but also because we are so open to foreign countries. For example, we have a lot of German influence, Austrian influence. You know, we kind of, unlike many other cultures, like for example, I lived in Italy for 7 years. They are not that open as we are. I mean, for example, an Italian would not move just like that to Germany. You know, it's not something that people even think about. You know, like it's not a common conversation. And Italy is far from perfect, by the way. So the thing is, people here are extremely open to foreign cultures. We speak a lot of languages. My parents like learned Russian. I learned, you know, French in school, and then German, and then English. And people speak languages. They're very open, and they're very adaptable as well, because a lot of these survival issues that we deal with make people resourceful. They make people adaptable and smart how to deal with struggle. And what do we see outside of Bosnia? We see that when people move to Sweden, for example, they are the #1 most assimilated, most integrated community, which is really impressive. Out of over 100 different nationalities, Bosnians are #1 on the list, which is interesting because, I mean, why is that? And that's exactly because we get assimilated. We embrace different things from our own, which is also a good thing and a bad thing, because we don't appreciate enough our own culture, and then we embrace other stuff. But also the same thing makes us very competitive on the market, because we adapt quickly to other people requirements or ideas or whatever, knowledge, or and I think that's why we see so many successful people in the world from Bosnia, because, like, you know, when they go out, they're gonna adapt in New York, in London, in Stockholm, anywhere. But I think there's also a way to leverage all of these skills from here, in entrepreneurship, in business in general, by just understanding how adaptable we are, how open we are, how well we speak languages, how can we, like, literally we survived wars. You know, we can do anything. So I think people should be more, should acknowledge their power, and should try to do more crazy things in Bosnia and not just leave the country. So that's my opinion. And I think everything is possible. I mean, if you can succeed in New York or London or Stockholm, you can succeed even here. Why not? It's the same thing. It's just that, like, the mindset that you need to leave to succeed is, like, it's wrong, in my opinion. But I think we are very powerful, because all of the adversity and everything that happened, we learned so much, and we just to be a bit more flexible and, you know, start businesses, do something. You know.
What do you think? Why do we have this perception that it's easier to succeed somewhere else instead of here? Why do we think there is a bigger challenge in Bosnia than somewhere else?
I mean, I think one of the reasons is that there are not many role models. For example, if we look at other countries in the Balkans, it's not the same thing. For example, in Serbia, in the IT community, for example, I mean, people have seen companies, multi-$100 million companies being built in Belgrade. In Slovenia, people have seen multi-100 million euro companies being built in Ljubljana. In Sarajevo, nobody has seen that ever. So the thing is, people don't have good role models, and then we don't look enough at other cities. I mean, I was lucky to travel a lot through the Balkans, and I have seen a lot of stuff, and I can see how every city is different. And I mean, I think we need more role models from that are proving that it's not only about politics, it's not only about corruption, it's not only about these bad things. I mean, you can succeed here in a legal way. You can build a business, you can build your own brand, you can be, I don't know, an influencer. I mean, whatever you want. You can be a creator, and you can succeed from Bosnia without any problems. Nobody's limiting you. I think the only limit is in people's heads and in the environment, the community they are part of. And then I think also universities are doing a great job. I mean, some of them here in Bosnia to promote an entrepreneurial culture. That's starting to happen now. I think there's going to be a push forward. We need more entrepreneurial communities more stories about successful people. Because I mean, why are we watching these war announcements on the television? I mean, why are we not talking about amazing entrepreneurs from this country that are succeeding every day and are building amazing stuff? So I think, I mean, we need more stories, more role models, more examples, and then people get inspired and they see another option.
Thank you very much. And this is exactly what we are trying to create with ABSL, to build this business community, which will be a role model for this country. And also, we strongly believe that we can create positive changes only if we work together, which means we need all stakeholders included in this process. As I said, local governments, educational or universities, we need business community, we need international institutions. Mayor of Novo Sarajevo, as a local government representative, is supporting entrepreneurship and business development in his municipality. Unfortunately, he could not be here with us today, but I would like to hear, and my colleague Adnan has some great examples from Poland. How is that functioning or happening in Poland? How is the local government supporting business services sector?
So I have two stories from Poland. First story is about one case where we had obstacle to grow our business services. So we decided to build a shared service that is serving all of the Europe and Middle Eastern European countries from Poland. This was a supply chain business service, so meaning that we had the planners that decide what we produce in each of our factories, like pretty much in the half of the world. And to do that, we had to serve Cairo from Poland. And as you know, Cairo has a different weekend. So they don't work on Friday and Saturday, and Sunday is their working day. Now, Poland had a law which says, unless you operate in 3 shifts, you cannot force people to come to office on Sunday and Saturday. So you need to be a factory with 3 shifts. So we said, oh, if this is the case, then we cannot build this center here. We need to take it somewhere else because we need this support of Cairo. And we checked with other members of ABSL, and they say we have the same problem. So we sit down, we created a statement. We went to the government of Poland. It took us a while. Like there was several discussions influencing, and eventually Polish parliament has passed a law that allows a business services only to have exceptional working schedule if they are serving countries that are not working on the same weekends. So this is one very good example of how government can collaborate with organizations like ABSL to unlock any kind of obstacles in a way to grow the business. Now, but this would not happen without Polish government being open for this. So my second story is about city of Łódź. So city of Łódź is like in Polish standards, a relatively small city. It's probably 500,000 people. Large.
We love this story.
Yeah. And the city has a mayor. They call a mayor a president, which is interesting saying. So the president of Łódź has a team of people that is actively working on bringing businesses to Łódź. But the way they do this is like full-blown manage it as a company operation. This is nothing to do with the government as we know it. So they have a PR team, they have a marketing team. Whenever I would show up on any conference in Łódź, there would be somebody from the president's office coming to me, giving a card saying, tell us what you need. If you want to grow the business, we are here to help. But the most funny part of how extreme they go was when we were building a center in Warsaw, the one that I just mentioned in the first story. This team has learned that we are considering to build a 1,000 people center in Warsaw, and they wanted to get it to Łódź. So without our knowledge, and like we are talking our knowledge, like this is a Procter & Gamble leaders working on decision to where to build this center, the mayor of Łódź bought a ticket, went with a plane, arranged a meeting with chief operating officer of P&G in Cincinnati, show up in the meeting and presented the case to the second person in the company why we should invest in Łódź and not in Poland. And we didn't know about it. We learned, like when they called us from the central, they said, hey, who is this guy? What did they want? Why don't you invest in Łódź? You should invest in Łódź. And we were so shocked. Obviously, it took us months to fix that issue. Eventually, we built a center in Warsaw. But this just shows to which extreme this kind of city governments, in this case, we are talking about city government, can go to bring the businesses to their own communities. So what we would like to do is we would like to use this as the inspiration. As ABSL in Bosnia, we would like to bring more of these stories, potentially bring some of our politicians to Polish cities, which we can help with, and show how others are doing this, how seriously they take this job.
Exactly. Faris, may I ask you something? If you would address the mayor of the municipality or the mayor of the city, what would you ask him or her? What are your needs actually?
That's a great question.
From the local government.
Yeah, I think it's I mean, what we have seen in Sweden and Silicon Valley and many places. I mean, we've seen that there is this triple or quadruple helix model, which you're probably familiar with, where universities and or educational institutions and government, public agencies, then the private sector, everybody's working together. And I think that's missing, as you said, in a way. Like, I mean, it's this collaboration, but it's not like, I think in what we see in Bosnia is usually it's very transactional. Like, for example, I need students, so I'm going to go to the faculty and I'm going to ask for students, or the faculty needs a speaker at the conference. They're going to call me, I'm going to go speak. So, but that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about, for example, in Sweden or Silicon Valley, literally companies, private companies have their own literally labs, or I mean, whatever, they're literally present in the university, or the universities are continuously coming to the private sector, to the companies, and the students are implanted in the companies. So there's this continuous collaboration going on. It's not transactional. It's not like one time or once per month or once per quarter. So I think we need to start thinking like that, how to connect people and how to connect all of these opportunities, because everybody needs everybody. The government needs the private sector needs educational facilities, the educational facilities need the government, it's like, and I think it's first about publishing problems and being more open and transparent, and then working together on the solutions, creating mini committees and working groups, and then I think also leveraging sources of capital and knowledge like EBRD, or companies that can bring experts, mentors, role models, maybe also, as you said, like travel to other places, learn from others, because we are not the smartest people in the world. There are cities and I don't know, states that manage to successfully build these, business and IT and entrepreneurial communities. So what can we learn from them? Maybe we should visit them together in a group, do like a visit for, I don't know, 2 weeks in Stockholm or Silicon Valley, and then learn from that, and then build some projects based on that, start working together. So I think that's the way, and much more collaboration, much less silos, much less isolation. So that's probably the way to do it.
Thank you very much. Mr. Hasović, what is the EBRD strategy for Bosnia for the next 5 years? And is business services industry included in your next strategy period, 2023-28?
I think I have already answered that question at the beginning of this discussion, but I didn't mention one thing which is also important, that we will try to work on energy transition. We will also try to improve resource and energy efficiency in our enterprises. So we will try to bring some experts to work on renewables projects in more mature SMEs, but also doing feasibility studies for the others who have no that expertise or who are thinking energy costs are rising extremely. So we need to help those SMEs.
Thank you very much. The business services sector in Bosnia and Herzegovina is developing very dynamically, and it will certainly have a positive effect on local economies. So it's our mission to catalyze the industry's growth by creating a better business environment for our members and promoting Bosnia as an attractive business location for business services. I would like to close this panel discussion and to open actually Q&As with a question. And this is Faris for you. If you could change one thing about the Bosnian business environment, what would it be?
One thing, yeah.
One thing.
I mean, I have a very radical answer to that, but I'm not going to say it now. So I'm going to be polite. Yeah. I mean, I think it's hard to reduce it to one thing, but I mean, because I think always about entrepreneurship, so I'm a bit biased because I think the solution is not to improve the conditions of existing companies. I mean, that's one part of the solution. I mean, EBRD is working on that. A lot of ABSL, BiH Alliance. I mean, everybody's helping existing companies, but I think we need to create new companies. So if I could change one thing is access to mentors and capital and knowledge about entrepreneurship, making it easier to open a new company and enabling an easier process in terms of administration and legal and financing and all of that. So like making an easier workflow to open a new company for young people. And because I believe in a future where there are like thousands and hundreds of thousands of new companies created in Bosnia, creating completely crazy new products and services that don't exist today, increasing the complexity of our economy, increasing the exports, modernizing our economy. So we need much more new companies. So I don't need help. New companies need help.
Thank you very much. Before I open the Q&As, Adnan, based on your experience from Poland, what we can do, how can we work together with all stakeholders to increase sustainable growth of business services?
I mean, how different stakeholders can work?
How can we all, yeah, exactly. We as ABSL, we with our members together and with all our other stakeholders.
Yeah, so I think we need to look into real life obstacles, prioritize them, and then go one by one. It's not an easy, it's simple answer, yet it's very difficult execution. What is our obstacle number one today? Once we solve it, what is the number two? Once we solve it, what's the number three? And we need to get this list of obstacles and understand the importance from our members themselves. Not from some kind of ivory tower thinking. It has to be members that say, look, this is my problem. I have a problem with the payments with the bank. I have a problem with regulations to hire volunteers, hire students. All these kind of things are obstacles, and we need to clearly be very clear what are the biggest ones and how we move forward for them.
Thank you very much. We can ask them right now. If you have any questions, please feel free. And otherwise, it's also our question for you. What would you change? One thing that you would change in the Bosnian business environment, and what is your biggest challenge? So priority number one on which we can all together work to solve it. Please. Is there someone, can someone just pass the microphone?
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Začinić. I'm the founder and the director of a startup from Sarajevo. We are a digital platform for investment opportunities in Bosnia and Herzegovina. I've worked in the field of investments in private equity and investment banking in Amsterdam and Rotterdam. I've seen in Bosnia that most investments come from the debt market. So I can see that the equity market is not as developed as in other countries. So this is where M&A's opportunities are much more developed. We can see that software companies are highly desired targets for private equity funds. However, I don't see that development in Bosnia and Herzegovina. So my question for Mr. Hasović is, can you shed some light why these equity investments are lagging while our software, let's say our software industry is increasing? Do you see any opportunities for better legislation in this field, which will eventually also grow the market for debt?
As I said at the beginning, I'm not banking expert, so I hardly can answer that question, but I will try to do one example. Yes, I know that all SMEs, when they are taking loans or financing any kind of investments, they need to provide collateral. They need to invest in buildings to buy new equipment, and so that's happening in the last 20 years. You know, we've seen that time and time. But EBRD is trying to design not innovative, but new products who can help even these type of companies. Recently, we have invested in one company in Serbia. We have provided credit to that company in a process of they are taken over smaller ICT companies. So it's not something that we are running away. We are open to those proposals. We just need certain size of these deals or meaningful projects. We are not making difference between industries, or we are just making difference between companies. So good they are, what their debt absorption capacity or investment absorption capacity, with their potential for growth, and project they have in mind. Not that we are just focusing on that. Each our product or our investment is tailor-made per size of the company and project they have in mind. Of course, we can't do small deals because, as I said, we have a limited number of people, limited capacity, and we need to work with our partner institutions. You know, we can't take market from local banks. They are here to help local SMEs. We are just working with them or through them. Only in certain cases we can work directly with, as I said, larger companies. We have also provided financing to investment funds. I know a guy who, with his partners in Croatia and Serbia, has created investment fund. EBRD has invested 10 million euros in that fund. So that's also an opportunity.
Any other questions? Tarek, please.
Hi, I have a quick question which is related to the facilities. So this industry in which we are sitting is heavily dependent on two aspects. So one is people, and you spoke about people and how you manage that. The other one is facilities. According to some usual standards, one workspace requires about 10 square meters of space. Mr. Začina, you can probably confirm that. Usually it is about, let's say, 7, 8, 10, depending on type of the building which is erected. Currently, our industry has about 15,000 people. It means that there should be about 10 times that much office space available. Given that the ABSL is now promoting this industry as well as everybody else, our target is to become an industry with 50,000 people, let's say, over the next 5 years. The question for the EBRD is that how would you support the facility development opportunities in Bosnia now that you already have an indicator that about 350,000 square meters of space will be required?
I can't answer that question, or I am not eligible to answer that question. I'm not a banking person. I keep repeating, I'm running advisory services. I can just give some general comments, but I really can't answer that question. That's a question for someone within the bank, and I advise you to contact EBRD directly or contact me, and I will arrange you a meeting with a responsible person, and we can discuss it in details.
Okay, this is a legitimate interest, and it is an opportunity for also, I think that more people involved in this is also giving us an opportunity to increase the segment, because obviously also right now there is an overall shortfall of proper facilities available in the market. But thank you very much for your answer.
I think that's a great question for the mayor of the municipality, Novo Sarajevo. You're going to ask him that.
Definitely yes.
But wait, if I understood you, you said like you're saying also you're talking about IT as well. So supposedly, supposedly we need 10 square meters per person, right?
Yes, so usually it's about 10, depends on the type of the building, whether it's green certified, green building and so on. You can go down as minimum like 5, which is very, very tiny. For creative services, it's not enough, but usually it's about 10 per person.
Yeah, one comment, I mean, from my end, I mean, we actually need 0 per person. Because I mean, we started the company as a completely remote company in 2015. We have 2 offices, but I mean, the trends we see right now in the world is the office space. I mean, I'm talking about IT and software specifically, and maybe other industries don't have the same privilege. But we are moving to a completely, I mean, we were always remote first. We're actually killing one of our 2 offices. We see that happening also in many cities in the world. We are buying one office that is going to be like a hangout place. It's not going to be a workplace. It's going to have PlayStations and, you know, hookahs and DJ sets and, you know, whatever, but it's not going to be a workplace. I mean, people can work from there if they want, but it's not designed as a primary workplace. And I think more and more companies will go in that direction. Maybe it's a bit radical, but what I see in the recruitment market also is that people want to work from home. They want to work remotely, not only because of the pandemic, but I mean, I think remote first and hybrid are going to be more popular. So the square meters per person, I mean, it's questionable. For example, for us, we have 200 employees. Our office space that is very optional for fun is going to be around 500 square meters. So that's it, you know. And then when we scale to, I don't know, 1,000, maybe we're going to have like, let's say 1,000 to 2,000 square meters total. So that's where we are going. But I mean, I guess a lot of the companies in ABSL and other in the IT sector are going in different directions. But I think it's a bit, you know, I think office-centric cultures in the IT sector are slowly dying. I mean, when they're going to die off completely, we're going to see, you know, but I think there's a clear trend towards remote. So that's just a quick comment from my end.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And I agree with you that every industry is specific. So some are really location dependent because of security requirements, etc. But at the end of the day, if you also want to grow this industry to 3 times where we are today, there is a shortfall of offices. And I appreciate your comment. Thank you very much.
One more question? If not, then I can say thank you very much for being our guests. We highly appreciate sharing your experience with us, and we are going to knock on your doors to start initiatives and work together towards improving business services industry in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Thank you.
Thank you very much.